Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Aniagolu. Now, it might seem like political comedians have a rather easy job, which is essentially to take shots at politicians and office holders for whom the public already have a healthy dose of cynical mistrust. But some of Nigeria's popular political comedians, such as my next guest, Peter Ogbudu, aka Ghana Must Go, do more than just taking shots. They shape the discussion and become part of the process through the act of telling jokes. He's become more than a simple commentator. He's become a voice of the people, a funny voice. This means that he doesn't take sides, but takes on all politicians, celebrities, and office holders on a wide range of issues. In other words, you could say that he's a libertarian and a sort of equal opportunity offender, willing to make fun of not some, but all politics, irrespective of party or ideology. Well, in a moment, I'll be joined in the studio by the political comedian Peter Ogbudu, aka Ghana Must Go. But first, here he is, doing his comedy routine.
Ladies and gentlemen,
right on.
Ezala, we are here this afternoon to speak to someone.
Speak on.
Ezala, If you are the one, just Salah, Papa, I am here. Speak on. There is someone that is watching us right now.
Ezala.
You really don't like politics.
Yes.
But your mind is telling you that 2023 you will
Yes.
You don't even have money right now to print poster.
Ezala.
But you have the confidence that you will win. Let me tell you, before the end of this year,
Yes.
2021,
Speak on. Ezala.
DSS will arrest you during protest. Do
Ezala.
I know you?
No.
Have I met you before?
No.
Do I have your phone number?
No.
Do I know your address?
No. Right on,
Man of
Papa.
God.
There is
Papa,
somebody
right on.
here. Right on.
You are planning to join bandits.
Ipakaruse.
Just the way federal government banned Twitter.
Kasa.
They will ban your bandits.
Power will not be powder.
Do I know anybody before?
No.
Your name starts from Arrow.
Arrow. Right on. Right on. Yes.
Are you seeing something?
I'm seeing, my brother.
See, let us see.
Look. Listen. As you are watching this video right now,
Ezala.
your life will never remain the same.
Ezala.
My brother, not forget, so we get brother forever. No, they go fire.
Oh,
I don't say the matter be. Wisdom.
What?
Who get person for heaven?
Not they go
You know they go
fire.
fire.
Anybody will get brother forever. No, the entire fire.
Now only party where they never show EFCC fine. Neither another political party will not be APC.
Well, there was a bit of mirth there, wasn't there? And the political comedian, Peter Ogbudu, aka Ghana Must Go, joins me now in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. I mean, we need to laugh in this country. I have to be totally honest with you. But before we get into your political comedy and all that, how did you get to use the name Ghana Must Go? I mean, there's a story there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Okay, so when I started comedy, of course, from my primary school days, but it used to be acting. We used to act way back in Warri. I'm from Delta State, Warri boy, you know. So we used to act. Then we
The
started-
oil people.
The oil people, exactly. Yeah, so we used to act from primary school, got into secondary school. I joined a club called PLADS, which is the Press Literary Art Debating and Dramatic Society, also SVC Social Variety Club. I belong to that club with the likes of I Go Die, I Go Save, Shaggy, and the rest
Yeah,
of them.
these
Shaggy
are
the
pretty
comedian.
well-known comedians in Nigeria.
Exactly. So we got into stand-up comedy, of course. So we do shows in schools where we get to perform and all of that. Then from secondary school, I got into the Federal Polytechnic Auchi, where I studied mass communication. And then I also joined the theater troupe there that it's called a Mistral Theater Troupe. And so comedy started, we started doing it. And there is this particular event that they do in Auchi way back. They used to call it Most Rugged Man on Campus. And the idea for everybody then was, so you come on stage, you rip off your jean, you make it look very dreaded, and the judges get to vote, okay? But as a comedian, I just wanted to do something very abstract. I wanted to do something different. because I love to cook. So each time I go to school, I have these Ghana Must Go bags that I use to get my food stuff. So I had a lot of them, in my room. So I just picked them, went to meet a tailor, which has been modernized now. They don't call themselves tailor anymore. They call themselves fashion designers. Okay, yeah. So I met a tailor and I asked him to make a shirt, a trouser for me. I also took the hand of the Ghana Must Go bag to the shoe cobbler and asked him to make a palm. So instead of using the leather, he had to use that. So at the end of the day, I got my costume ready. And at the event, I could remember I was like the 5th or 6th person that came out. Immediately I came out, that was around in 2003. The student didn't quite understood what I was wearing at first because it was an evening event.
Right.
But immediately they understood. The whole place went, whoa, Ghana must go back. Whoa, Ghana must go, Ghana must go, Ghana must go. And of course, you understand students.
So the name stuck.
For those of them who felt like, oh, this comedian where the yab was, we'll go the yabam. Now, instead of calling that his name, which is Mokes, we'll go, they call him Ghana Must Go. So Ghana Must Go started. For me, I just thought it was commercial, it was good, quite controversial for the business. And I said, okay, it can fly.
And just to be clear, because we have an international audience as well as a Nigerian audience. Ghana Must Go bags are these bags that are quite big.
Exactly. Okay, so the story behind it, of course, we remember in the 82, when the Ghanaians left Nigeria.
Right.
So that bag was
what they used to move their
exactly.
stuff. So it stuck, basically.
Definitely.
And you've hosted comedy shows with titles like The Naked Truth.
Exactly.
Joking about serious matters in Nigeria, taking a dig at politicians and those in office for whom the Nigerian public at large, as I mentioned in the intro, already have some mistrust. Would you call yourself a political comedian?
Okay, well, I think that's actually one of the names that I would look into right now because I've never seen myself as a political comedian, though. I just feel like, I'm a comedian who wants to entertain, but of course, enlighten people about serious issues that are really of importance, that a lot of Nigerians don't look at it. For Nigerians, they feel like, what's my business?
What can I do to change it?
They just feel they can't do anything. But another thing why I think it is important, why I talk about it, is just a video that trended about a few days ago of a young guy in Edo State who spoke up about a drainage system that they were constructing without roads reinforcement. And the video went viral. The deputy governor went there, saw the project, and he has awarded the project to be done properly. So I think that when we begin to speak up, people would listen. But because I'm a comedian, I want to make those serious issues laughable. But of course, the information needs to be passed.
Yes, I understand that. And when would you say that Nigerians really started to take notice of your brand of politically incorrect jokes?
Okay, well, it has started for a long time. I think from the time of let me actually say, because I remember during the 99 into 2000 when the likes of the comedy godfather Ali Baba used to go to the villa, tell jokes with Obasanjo and all that, talk about serious issue. And he used to tell some of us, like, when he talks about those things, sometimes the people will tell him, DSS will arrest you, this will happen, But at the end of the day, he realized that the president, as a then, laughed to the joke and he enjoys it. So everybody just feel like, okay, so you can actually pass the message to these people.
So people started to relax
People started to realize the importance of it. So that's why for a few of us who think that it is important we do that, we are stick to it.
And do you think the mood has changed from that time, or is it pretty much nobody really cares what you, from an official point of view?
No, people do. People care.
I don't mean ordinary people who enjoy you. I mean the government.
Of course they do. They care. Because you see, most times these people actually also come to our shows. They attend our shows. The likes of the present vice presidents has attended a lot of comedy shows where issues are being discussed, and
he laughs about it.
He laughed about it, but of course we also saw that he just didn't laugh about it. When they go back, they also sit down and look like, so what can we do about this issue?
They start to think, okay, these are things that concern
the people.
The
people are talking. For those of them that are up there, they really don't have the opportunity of understanding what the ordinary man feels. So the only place they can hear the truth, because for us as comedians, we feel like they just tell them, the aides just tell them what they want to hear. Oh, Your Excellency, don't worry, the people are happy, they are enjoying. They don't go to the market, so they don't even understand that the price of bag of rice had increased. But when they come to comedy shows, we make them feel like it's funny, but that's the reality.
Right.
Yeah.
And just as an example of your political comedy, you said about a year ago or so that many Nigerian civil servants have made the courts their second home, the law courts,
Exactly.
so they can falsify or reduce their rage. And you said you were reporting them to a mermaid.
Yeah.
And you made the joke beside a river.
Yeah.
Tell us about how that came about.
Okay. I realized that for a lot of political parties, you see, we go to the ministry sometimes. We have events that we have to anchor with ministries, agencies, and you see these really old man. We know people who are below 45, for God's sake. Okay, you just see these people and they are telling you that they are just how many years in and I'm like, how?
That's funny.
So I just looked at it and said no, because a lot of youths are graduating every day from school. They are graduating.
And they need jobs.
They need jobs.
Yeah.
They are not getting jobs. But because for those who have gotten the jobs, again, I also don't blame them, because even at retirement, what would you really want to fall back to? There is no plan. So they just keep going back to the court, and these days, people don't use the real birth certificate. You keep seeing the swear affidavits. They come back next year, they are 45. 8 years later, they are 43. And I'm like, I don't understand. Are we now using the Bible days when God said 1,000 years will be like a day in His sight? So for me, that was why I decided to do that. And I wanted a bit of comedy, and that was why I went to the river band.
Yeah, well, that was funny, and that got a lot of hits on YouTube. But do you make jokes based on what you believe, even when it's unpopular? For instance, you recently threatened to release the names of political leaders and federal appointees who you say have failed to help significantly the people from their states and their constituencies. Or do you tend to mix politics and comedy about the things you think the public want to hear and for the shock value of those things?
Okay, I think I make those jokes because I know categorically the pains of Nigerians. I tell my jokes based on what the situation of Nigeria really is. Okay, so a lot of federal appointees, state appointees, a lot of politicians, they are, from what we know, there are slots that is being given, even though they may not want to accept it. But these are facts that we know. So they give you a slot, and that's why sometimes I say it's not just about blaming the head. You have a slot to give people from your constituency 200 jobs, 150 jobs. At the end of the day, they end up giving like 5, they end up giving 20. What happens to the rest? And that's where the issue of ghost worker, that word ghost worker came into being in Nigeria. So they just put people's name in there. Nobody is there doing the work. The work is suffering. And that is why you realize that when you take files to some ministries, to some agencies, files that would be treated, that should be treated just a week or two, would take like 8-10 months. Why? Because they also don't have enough hands to handle it. So I just feel like, why make those provisions and these people are not giving it out? So the people in the streets, young people who need jobs, are complaining. So I just feel like, okay, so the best way to talk to them and to tell them about these is to make that happen. And my constituency at some point was affected. And immediately I did that video, I can tell you for sure that few people who were, who knew they were going to be affected actually opened up and gave a lot of people.
Okay, please stay with us. We want to talk with you some more. You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our chat with the political comedian and activist Peter Ogbudu, aka Ghana Must Go. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Charles Aniagolu. Now, my main guest today is the activist and political comedian Peter Ogbudu, known popularly as Ghana Must Go. He's become rather well known in Abuja and other parts of Nigeria for bringing humor to difficult topics. He holds these rousing on-stage performances and has become popular for taking on political and current affairs issues. He tries to use his comedy routines to explore contemporary Nigeria and to discuss all the difficult issues you might feel uncomfortable talking about in a setting other than a comedic one. Well, let's find out more about how he weaves his rather inventive comedy around social political issues in Nigeria. Peter Ogbudu, aka Ghana Must Go, is still with me in the studio. Thank you for staying with us. Beyond the jokes that you make and all the, the quick wit that goes with it, are you actually passionate about the political problems that Nigeria faces today?
Yeah, I do. I really do. Okay, so I will tell you something I can tell you for sure that in the last 5 years, my level of events that I get has really dropped. So sometimes some events organizers call me and Ghana Must Go. We went somewhere and we told them you're going to be the MC for the event, and they're like, oh, you're good, but they're scared because some big politicians will be coming and they don't want you to come and talk jokes about Nigeria politics because they will be harassed and all of that. So if I had wanted to feel discouraged, I would have stopped that long ago. But for me, I've stayed by it. And again, it has really helped me. So I've seen, my source of income beyond just entertainment. Okay, so I just realized, okay, so if this is it, if I don't want to give up on this path that I've chosen to take, then I must create other source of income.
But I mean, you're not an exclusively political comedian, are you? I mean, you take digs at other issues with the same measure of sort of brutal honesty.
Yes. Yeah, I do. I feel like a lot of people also want to talk about these issues, but for some of them, they feel like, okay, maybe they either don't have the platforms, they don't have the opportunity, or they also feel like, how am I going to say it for the people to accept it or understand it? So I just feel, okay, I have the privilege to do that. Why not talk about it? And I think it is important. That is why for every time that I have an opportunity to talk about an issue that is very important, that a lot of Nigerians don't want to talk about, I do it without.
Right, and I know you mentioned earlier, how you got into comedy in school and that sort of thing, but were you the kind of guy who was always funny, or did you develop a funny persona? In other words, were you the kind of smart ass in the class? You see what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, I think I was born funny. Okay, so for a lot of comedians, some will tell you they learned comedy, some were born comedians. Either way, the most important thing is at the end of the day, you make your audience enjoy what you're doing. Okay, so, but for me, I think that I know that I'm born funny because I actually started acting, like I said, from my primary school days. We used to have these small groups, we act. My mom retired as a principal, so we lived in a quarter. So we used to organize again then while we were younger, inter-house sports within the staff quarters. So we have the Red House, the White House, and all of that. But in between those activities, I created a small group that will just do a 5-minute comedy. We just act it. So it has always been there for me. Yeah.
But what do you set out to achieve when you make these political jokes? Is it to raise awareness or change people's minds about a subject, or what?
Okay, well, for me, one, I want to raise awareness. I want the government to be aware of the feelings, the pains, the plights of the people. I also want the people to realize that, look, if you speak up, the government will hear. And I just don't want the government to hear. I want them to act on the issues. Because if these issues are areas of concern to the people, why are you there to serve? You're there to serve the people.
No, absolutely.
So if the people are saying that these are their areas of concern, why not give it to them? So I want to create awareness. I want those in authority to hear, and I want them to react to what they've had for the people to benefit.
That's a good point. But do you have any intention, I'm sure you've probably been asked this before, but do you have any intention of using your status as a political comedian to enter the realm of politics? Would you entertain, or have you entertained the idea of running for office?
Yeah, honestly, I think with the way things are going in Nigeria, because I just realized that we just can't stay out here and keep talking. We must participate. So for me, I'm also thinking if we must participate, and if the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria says you must belong to a political party, I'm beginning to talk to a couple of friends to say, so what do we do? I also remember sometime last year, Aguda also called me and like, look, we just can't continue to talk on the fence. We must belong to a political party to also change the narrative. We must be there. So when people are saying, when they are saying in the House, for instance, let's vote for this to happen, we must be at that point to contribute and to enforce that.
And of course, beyond cracking jokes, I mean, there are serious issues. For example, we had Basket Mouth here. He joined us from Lagos some time ago, and his central focus was about the End SARS protests. So there are people, I mean, comedians are becoming more political in that sense. But do you think that if you were to attempt to make the transition into political life, political activity, that people would not take you seriously?
No, I don't think so. For me, I think it's about me. It's not about, okay, so it's going to now be what you now do when you get there. If
but you'd have to get there first.
Yes, if you are
and
there.
If you went to a voter and said, hey, you know, I'm a comedian and I want to now run your life.
Yes.
They might not be enamored of the idea.
No, I don't think so. I also know that a lot of people understand that for us, comedy is acting, it's not the real life. So we have a real life. So what is our real life? So there's going to be a problem if I now get into power and don't now do those things that I've always preached about. But I know that if I have an opportunity to get into politics, I truly want to change a lot of things. And I know I will do that. For those people who are close to me, they will tell you, I take my stand no matter what it is. I don't care what I'm going to lose. If it is the truth, I stand by it, because I know that someday people will just realize that, yes, he said it and that's what it is. So for a lot of comedians, a lot of people had not really wanted to talk about serious issues that has to do with politics. But after the answers, I will tell you, say, man, when comedians sit down for house for a few days, no show, when their account begin to liquidate, they realize that they need to talk.
I was going to ask you, because you perform in both English and Pidgin. I mean, you were speaking Pidgin just there. Which do you feel more comfortable performing in?
Honestly, I feel very much comfortable doing my Pidgin. For me, it's sweeter.
You think you're reaching a bigger audience?
With Pidgin English? We need to sell it. English language is actually some person's language. So if Pidgin is ours, everybody is trying to learn English. So why not push our own? So we have to sell Pidgin. And a lot of people are beginning to fall in love with Pidgin English. We see a lot of people who watches our videos online who are pure whites. We've even seen people who are not English-speaking countries. They love our jokes, and they are beginning to learn the Pidgin English. So we want to sell it. But I'm much more comfortable speaking Pidgin. There are things you express.
I totally understand.
Pidgin. That. You know, get translation for English.
But I mean, the whole purpose, we've got about 40 seconds or so left, of comedy is being a comedian is to make people laugh. But if your comedy is infused with and full of opinions, political opinions, is there the probability that people just wouldn't be that amused when you start?
Okay, well, I don't think so, because at some point in time in Nigeria, in the history of Nigeria, comedy generally was not being taken serious. Just like the Nigerian music too. At some point, if it's not the American rock and all that, people don't listen to it.
But now they've gone home.
Everybody that is accepting it. So I also feel like with time, people will still continue to appreciate.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad they did the music, and I'm glad you're doing your comedy. Thank you very much indeed. Peter Ogbudu, a.k.a. Ghana Must Go. That's it for this edition of The Arise interview. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.